So there's probably more than three habits, but we're going to go over three of the main habits of the things that if you were to ask someone, what would you want in life? If you could only pick two things, most people are going to say more money and better health. Looking
Mm,
good, having the money to spend, to enjoy doing it. Of course, there's a lot of things that go into that, but today we're going to go a little deeper with getting realigned and restored, right? So rich, ripped, realigned, and restored. You put those things together, that's a recipe for a good life. These are things most people are after, and they're very end result type things. You could say it's superficial, but there's a lot of things that go in behind that, and you can get there happy and you can get there really sad.
yep.
And so the importance of really being realigned, making it a worthwhile journey, so that when you have the money, it's not just about being rich. It's not
Mm,
just about looking good. It's about feeling good and having the ability to do good for others, and enjoying yourself while you're doing it. Like that's
yeah.
a beautiful recipe. Why would you not want that? And I think if you were to ask anybody, like, what would you want your life to look like, it would really revolve around all these things right here. And I know for Sean and for myself, it's what we want. We want to be elite in all areas of life. Are we that elite in all areas of? It's impossible, I think. But that's the beautiful journey, right? We'll never get there. But what else? What else will you do with your time? And so if you're looking at any of these things, maybe there's one that you'd like to have more than another. Why do you not have that yet? Ask yourself that question. Are you in the shape that you want to be in? Is your finances right? Do you feel energized, restored? If you're not, you must be missing something. Everything is habitual. Every result you have is a sequence of decisions that you've made up until this point. And so, if you're not happy with where you are, it's just a matter of tweaking those. Right, easier said than done. But it is, the truth is, to change the direction, change the habits, and then you will ending up where you want to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Those three key habits, those things that will increase your odds chances of getting you much closer to that level that you want. So let's jump in, man. It's one of our favorite topics to talk about.
Let's
Where
do
would you
it, man.
start there, Sean? If someone asked,
Yeah, I would say definitely habits. I love that word because I always say, show me your habits and I'll show you your life. And so is it a negative habit? Is it a positive habit? Are we scrolling social media? What are we doing every minute and every hour of every day? And so for me, those are habits. Are you meditating? Are you focusing on breath work? Are you doing the things that's going to get you to where you want to go?
yeah,
A rich life, a ripped and a restored, fulfilled, meaningful life. And so for me, if I'm listening to this 10 years ago, I was just focused on getting rich, Ewan. I want to make all the money. I want to make millions of dollars. I want to be ripped, right? And sure, yeah, if purpose comes with that, cool. Yeah, it's going to be a byproduct,
yeah,
right? Was not focused on that in my teens and 20s. And so now reflecting back and somebody listening to this, I'm going, man, I'm like, I had it backwards. And what I should have been focused on was why. Why do I want to live a rich life? Why do I want to get ripped? Why do I want to live a fulfilling, meaningful life? And and more importantly, what's going to drive me to do those things month after month after month after month? And
yeah,
so that comes down to enjoying the journey, enjoying the process. See, I was so focused on had that scarcity mindset where okay, in order for me to become rich, Ewan, I have to save every penny I can, right? Because
mm,
that's how I was raised
yeah,
is I've got to save and I've got to do all my own work. I got to wash my truck, got to do my lawn, I've got to go get my groceries. And by the time just saying that, I'm exhausted. And so to me, what I've learned over time is like that wasn't a rich life for me, just
yeah,
personally. And so instead of focusing on living a rich life, I wanted to live an abundant life. And why do I want to do that? And so I started breaking these things down. And what I had found is that it was more sustainable for me month after month after month because I actually was doing the things that I enjoyed doing
yeah,
that were aligned with getting ripped, rich, and living a purposeful, restored, fulfilling life. And
yeah.
so, of course, that's doing the work behind the scenes. But I think for me, it all comes down to show me your habits, and I'll show me your life. So, is your habits aligned with getting those? And it takes time. It takes time, energy, and effort. But man, anybody listening to this, they have the power within them to to a rich life, a purposeful life, and if they want that body, that 6-pack, that 8-pack, then you're in the right place. You're listening to the
Mhm.
right podcast. And when I think about 6-pack or 8-pack, I think about my boy Ewan Heinemeier, just ripped up, shredded. I won't even mention his age, but the dude's like in his 60s. So, and he's still got a ring.
And that's what I think about. I think about me being in my 60s when I
Yeah,
work out.
that's right.
It's 20 years away, and I'm like, man, I want to be in this kind of. I want to be in better shape then than I am now. Like I think about
Yeah,
that all the time, just because.
love that.
Um, yeah, a lot of I used to do it for superficial reasons. I want to look good,
Yeah,
because that's what you do, and
exactly.
as my Enneagram 3 I mentioned before, 3, if I don't look good, then if I don't look valuable, then I'm not valuable, so that big part of that was like, it's my self-worth is tied up in how my
Yes.
image is. And there's probably always an element of that to people. It's there's aesthetics, right? Our brains naturally are drawn to things that look good, right? There's nothing
Right.
wrong
I
with that
agree.
either, but as far as like a purpose, it's not much of a purpose, like to just look good for looking sake. And who is it for? Well, if you break that down, it's for other people, because I'm
Mhm.
concerned about what other people are thinking, and there's no happiness there.
That's a
It's
good point.
miserable. And I've been there and done that, and luckily got some wisdom out of that. And I always check in with myself, like, hey, why am I doing this, for others or for me? That's a question I always ask myself. And if it's for me, I can feel it, and if it's for others, it's draining, and I know it's going to end up somewhere I don't want to be, because it's empty, totally empty. You think you're going to get this thing, and it's not there. Once people say, or I think Jim Carrey said, I want everybody to get rich. I want everyone to be a multimillionaire, so that once they get there, they can realize it's not what they were after, so they can
Yeah.
experience it. And so that
That's
then once
good.
they experience that, then they can have the very thing they're actually after today. You don't have to go
Yes.
get rich to get it, which is very hard to hear. Like, no one wants to hear that, because
Right.
there is a lot of things that finances bring, having money, being rich, whatever you want to call that. But the overall arching purpose is what's so important, So for me, I only really realized this so clear recently, until we started signing up for events,
Yeah.
and I started training for the events with purpose and vision, because I was looking forward to doing those things. And lo and behold, my body is in good shape. It's in great shape, and I'm not once thinking about how I look. Right, I'm just doing it because it's the result of a habit that I've produced that's going to allow me to go do something I enjoy, as opposed to the version of me. Well, I just want to do it to look good. One's not filled with a lot of joy, it's not sustainable, and the
That's right.
other is very purposeful, very personal, and you can just tell the difference. You can just see it. So to me, that's one of the key habits, is you got to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, the why, like you said.
Yes. Yeah. So there's two things that was on my mind that I wanted to ask you, and I'll come back to. But hearing you say that, one of the things that I thought about is tying a rich life, a ripped, being ripped, and why you're doing these things. And it makes me realize is when we do them for the wrong reasons, then, like you said, we end up going, oh, what did I sign up for? It's not sustainable. You throw in the towel and
Mhm.
you end up going through that pain cave. You end up going through that pain point and reflecting back. And so one of the things that's made me realize, just even in my 30s, is, well, what is the definition, Ewan, of ripped? What is the definition of
Mm. Yeah.
richness? What is the definition of being restored, living a fulfilling life? And so I couldn't answer these questions
Mm.
because I feel these words get tossed around. What is ripped? Well, to you, it may be 2% body fat, 3% body fat, but
Yeah.
to somebody else, it may be 8% body fat.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a definition, but what I've learned over time, and I would encourage the listener, is to come up with their own like definition of what a rich life is for them.
Yeah.
You see? And so I think so many times we disconnect ourselves from all these influencers online and these people that are living these, what we see, right? Because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we know, like, oh my God, they're so rich, millionaire, all these other things. I hear it all the time in people's conversations. They're so rich and they're so ripped and they look so good on Instagram and all, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So
You
even
do
though
not
these
know.
things are sexy and we like talking about them and we strive for that, what is your, but like, look at your, like, I started looking at myself in the mirror, like looking inward. It's like, what is, you know what? Forget everybody else, because that's their dreams. That's what, I can't control that, but I can control what a rich life looks to Sean,
Yeah.
what a ripped life looks for Sean, you know? And so maybe that's just losing weight. Maybe that's having $1,000 in the bank account.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, that's the abundance mindset. And that's the story that you're telling yourself. And then it's not only a matter of time before you start, for me, manifesting that, visualizing that. So
Yeah.
we all have, everybody listening to this has the power to live. So I just want to make sure there's not a disconnect between, oh, rich, ripped, like I'll never be that. No, you have the power to
Yeah.
live a rich life. You know, you could be living that right now, or maybe you're striving towards that. You know, or maybe you're not ripped, but maybe you start on that health transformational journey, and that's your North Star. And so we all have the power within us. So just because somebody has this tan, 12 pack, and it's, photoshopped on Instagram, and then right afterwards they're going to get a cheeseburger and they're bloating, and they don't look like that. And they're,
Yeah.
so, what are you spending to me, like, I just want to make sure that's important to note, is like, what are you spending your time, energy, and effort on, focused on? Instead, look at yourself in the mirror and go, okay, you know what? This is my definition of a rich life. This is my
Yeah.
definition of success. What is success? What is a rich life? And so
Yeah.
I would encourage the listener to ask themselves those questions with that. And I want to share some context with that. So with that being said, Ewan, I'm curious with you, man, not to put you on a spot. If I put you on a spot,
Hit me.
then, let me know. But what is a rich life? What is a rich life to you?
Man, one filled with peace, where I
Mm,
don't have to um, be worried and concerned about. I don't want to be worried about finance. I don't want to put my head on the pillow at the end of the night and be like, "How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to survive?" Like, that's not. And you could be living in $1 million home and live like that,
that's right.
you know. And that is not. That's not a rich life. You
That's
might
right.
have
Agreed.
riches, but you're not rich in life because you're so concerned. So um, being at peace financially, physically feeling at peace, like where I'm doing the things that are right for my body, where I feel good,
Yes.
because that's energy, that is really huge for me, and being aligned with my values, right? Like my family, like being the world's best dad, husband, right? Like that's in my mind. I
Yes.
want to be that for my kids and my wife. And so if I'm that brings peace, so I'm just looking for what brings peace. And a lot of that, if you think about the consequences of peace and it's done right, well, that means I'm going to do the things to where I'm financially sound. And it's going to mean that I'm going to do the things that that bring peace with me looking good, or like being ripped, and we're using that term as kind of a catcher, to because that's what people quotation marks want, and that's actually part of the purpose of this conversation is people want it right up until they get it, but they don't
Yes.
know what to do. They wouldn't know what to do once they had it, because all they focused on is getting. But that's not the end, though. What do you do after? There's still
Exactly.
life to live.
Such a good
There's
point.
no Once you have it. Well, what is your drive now? You don't know. You don't know what your purpose is after you have it. So it's a potential recipe for disaster because it will be very unfulfilling to get there and not know what to do. You think it will be the party starts. The party just ended
That's
actually
right.
when you got it.
Mm,
And so if it's peace, if it's fulfillment, if it's purpose, that never ends. That never goes away. In fact, it just always incrementally. It's a beautiful chase. Like that's something you want to be after. And so I chase peace, and the consequences are all these things, which are great, But I get what I want, which is that. So that would be to me, yeah. That's how I'd answer. How would you answer it? Like with a bow?
yeah, man. Rich, similar to what you're saying, like a rich life for me in context would be the life that I'm living right now, right? It's taken me years to build and design the life that I want to live right now, which is getting to shoot the podcast with you on, a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. So to me, that's living a rich life, doing the things on my terms that I enjoy doing, and then also empowering people to live their best lives and help, right? Build that ladder for individuals
Yeah.
to get to where they want to go. And I made a note down. For me, it's so interesting because if you would ask me that question on living a rich life 5 years ago, I'd have been like, oh man, I want hundreds of thousands of dollars in the banks. I want to make $1 million. And I'm like, that is not a rich life to me. Yes, stability, money. and all that is important. But like you said, the byproduct, the consequence of who you're becoming and enjoying that journey and learning the skill sets, the experiences. I've learned this. I've learned this to come to fruition and true in living a rich life. When I started in my growth, the listener listening to this too, when you start your growth journey and you're holding yourself to higher standards and you're leveling up and living your best life, people are going to ask you, what are you doing? You're going to find a cause and a calling behind you to help your spouse, your family, your friends,
Yeah.
to lift them up, because they will reach out to you. So now you are coaching them to get to where you are, whether that's fitness, finances, whatever area of life. And to me, I have learned over time that all I'm here to do is help people get to where they want to go,
Yeah.
whether that's leaving their job and starting an entrepreneur journey, or making six digits, helping them with their health. And so that, to me, Ewan, is
Yeah.
is living a rich life.
Yeah. Purpose,
And
helping others.
just helping others, and of course, everybody starts in different seasons and different stages. Somebody listening is maybe in their teens or 20s and going, well, that's great for you, Sean, but I got to start somewhere. That's right, you do. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, it's always good to have this in your tool belt, be understanding, like, well, that is a good question. Maybe I don't have the answers to that right now,
Yeah.
but maybe, I hear what they're saying. So let me go apply that and filter that into my own life, and what a rich life does look like, because it's different for everybody,
It can be
you know?
overwhelming too, hearing all this. Like, it's a lot to take on. So
Yeah.
it's the key is to not get overwhelmed, to just start dabbling with the question.
That's
Like,
right.
you don't have to have the answer today,
Yeah.
but just start asking. Be aware, just self-awareness of, what am I doing this for? Like, what is the purpose behind it? Where is it going to have me end up? And then also have the foresight to see that there's an element to, if you do it for the right purposes, you'll get what you're after a lot faster.
Yep.
Also, you can drive hard and think you're going fast, but it's a grind the whole way, and it takes so long because it's not true purpose. You're having to grind this thing out, and yeah. So I think just slowing down and
Yeah.
just being self-aware. Where are you currently at? What are you currently doing? What are the habits? Are they serving you? Because we all have the same wants, but what are you doing to get those things?
Yeah.
And it's never ending game. Me and you, we still have ours. But we know now. I'm like, well, what's the purpose? In the past, I wouldn't have asked that,
That's right.
and so it changes things. I'm not dissatisfied living a life of lack. I don't feel that at all. I don't feel like, oh, I'm missing out on anything. I'm enjoying life today. Whatever comes is a bonus addition. But I don't need anything to feel fulfilled. I don't need anything to complete me. Other than God, right? Spiritual, it's different conversation. But as far as things here, you can get most of those with a shift in perspective of mind.
Yeah.
Most of the feelings, emotions you're after.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think we're, I talk about this all the time with different seasons of life. And so you can talk to somebody in their teens or 20s, 30s and 40s. And so for me, it's like, wherever you're at, you're listening to this, you're in your car, you're on your treadmill, figuring out, like, okay, what season of my life am I in? Maybe you're a new business owner, you're 12 months in, you're 18 months in. So there's only one or two things, you're going to be wearing different hats, but you're focused and you're all in on building your business. Okay, I get it. Maybe some other things are being neglected, but it's still a good question to ask. What is a rich life, and aligning that with health and fitness, and then also realigning on a weekly basis to restore yourself, recharge yourself. We just did an episode on this a couple of weeks ago that I highly recommend you checking out, because everybody is busy right now. They're going a million miles an hour. They're at light speed and they're not slowing down to go fast. Well, guess what? What happens to an iPhone battery when you don't charge it? In 48 hours, it dies.
Yeah.
So don't be that person. And I would encourage you, by like what Ewan's saying, and I'm even speaking to myself right now. It's like, okay, where do you need to find time? And just, I want to equip people. And this is one of the things that I like to do in my communication is help. So if you're listening to this, one of the things I would encourage you to do on a weekly basis. So if you're listening to this, maybe it's on a Tuesday or during the week, someday on the weekend, maybe it's a Saturday or Sunday, find 30 to 60 minutes where you can designate no distractions. The kids don't come in. Maybe it's before they come in and into your room. And so find 30 minutes, even 60 minutes, have a cup of coffee where you're optimal, you're feeling good, you have a lot of energy, and then take out a piece of paper, 8x10, or even use a weekly planner. We have a weekly planner on our website, and go and go down on the 8x10 and list each area of life. And so by listing business, right, which is can be relating to a rich life, or health and fitness, which is ripped, right? You want to be more healthier. And then you go down spirituality, relationships, and you can list as many as you want, but I typically list 4 to 5. And out of these 4 to 5 different areas of life, you can put on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are in each area of life. And so a lot of people listening to this, like the guy I was talking to yesterday on the coaching call, he was basically at a 9. Like, he was multi-million dollar company, killing it. But all these other areas he knew he was struggling in.
Yeah.
He needed help with that. He needed guidance on that. So he might have been a 9 on business, but 4 or 5 over here getting ripped,
Yeah.
right? And realigning and balancing out his life into where he wanted to go. The whole point of that is to reflect and have it in mind. So where you're focusing on, okay, where does it need to steer my attention? Because I need to bump these other ones up before it's just a recipe for disaster and it explodes in my face. And so I think by doing that on a weekly basis, you can realign what it is that you're trying to do the coming week, and ask yourself. And that's how you ultimately get, like, why is your actions, like, what's dictating your actions?
Yeah.
And why are you doing that? And it is aligned with who you're wanting to become in these different categories of what we talked about on today's topic. So that would be my one action step, one call to action, is do that. Reflect where you are in these different areas. Try this out for 30, 60 days. Let us know how it's going for you in these different areas. And if you need help, if you're facing challenges or obstacles or having setbacks, reach out to us, man. That's what we're all about, leveling up and living our best lives. We're all going to face these things, and we want to hear about it so we can address them on the podcast and the episode, because we've all experienced it, and we're here just to guide, maybe help you avoid the failures, or give you some tools, resources, or tactics to overcome those. So those are kind of my final thoughts, Sean.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, I think that hit the nail on the head. And man, I heard a lot of what you were just listening to that on the daily planner. It's just a lot of reflection, self-awareness.
That's right.
And it's so huge. And no matter how self-aware you think you are, it's always good to have a second opinion of self-awareness, ask someone else for that accountability. And yeah, and we can offer that, and yeah, deeply appreciate you guys listening. 2025 can be a phenomenal year. It is in your hands to do that, to change any habits you want to add in. It's just a matter of shifting the mindset. It's all that you hold the key to your own prison always, and it's just a matter of time before you end up where you want to go. And things we discussed today, man, go back and listen to it. Those are the keys to get to where you want to go, and be fulfilled and feel purpose, feel realigned. And yeah, anything we can do, talk to us.
Let's go. And I encourage the listener there's another episode that we did a few weeks ago. Type in the search, and it was 6 habits on high performing. So if you're interested in diving deeper on habits to be more aligned with living a rich, ripped, and restored life in 2025, these habits will help you get you to where you want to go and dive deep on those. So I encourage you to go check that episode out. Outside of that, we appreciate your time, energy, and effort today. Make sure you share this episode with somebody that is wanting to level up and live their best life and needs to hear this episode. Also, leave a review. We would greatly appreciate it. We don't ask of much, at least I don't think we do, but we would greatly appreciate it. We see you if you have left us a review. 5-star, 1-star, whatever it is, shoot us straight. We would greatly appreciate it. Outside of that, subscribe and make sure to level up and live.
Level up and live.